All right, all set to go here. All right, everybody out there in the Madison D&D community or in the greater community, if you're one of our Discord members from a different state, country, or well, wherever, we are doing a special guest talk here where we're going to be discussing 20 Sided Tavern. Many of you have seen the clips. I know I've shared it on our Discord of the run of it in New York, which featured guest actors such as Neil Newbaum and Jacques Z. Whipper, for those of you of the TikTok generation or older folks on TikTok. And it is coming to Chicago starting just after Gen Con here in early August. So today with us we have got Anjali Bhimani, who many of you may recognize from Critical Role, Dimension 20, the D&D live play in which I believe she played a transformed dragon, because that was interesting, and or from such shows as Miss Marvel, and guest appearances on a slew of other things that I really couldn't name all and not run out of time. So, Anjali, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
As are we. I'm definitely excited. It is to me it is exciting enough that I've even gotten my wife to attend the opening night with me. And 35 years ago, I tried to teach her Dungeons and Dragons, and it didn't take. Uh, so the fact that she's joining me for 20 Sided Tavern is a testament to the fact that it has got some mainstream appeal, that it's not just for gamers.
Well, happily, and this is one of my favorite things about the 20 Sided Tavern, is that even though it is Dungeons and Dragons, and even though obviously we are working within the structure of a D&D game, the show is specifically built to be all inclusive for people who have
Mhm.
never played before, people who never intend to play, people who just want to come to a fun night of the theater, people who have played and who love it and who love all the rules and really want to get nitty gritty. There's a very wide spectrum of ways to be involved in this show, and as involved and as not involved as you want to be as an audience member. And
Mhm.
it's one of the reasons that I fell so deeply in love with it myself, because even though a lot of your listeners may know me from the D&D space and from the TTRPG space, my career began in the theater, doing regional theater, doing Broadway. It actually began in Chicago with a show that then moved to Broadway. So I being able to combine the game with live theater and then add the element of the audience being able to participate through their mobile devices, it's just, it is exactly, how do I put this? I feel like one of my great missions in life is to remind people they're not alone. And there's
Mhm.
always a space where they fit in. There's always a place where they belong. There's always a group of people who's ready to invite them in. And playing D&D was the first place that I really experienced that, because I started playing when I was 8 years old. And, as a little brown girl in Orange County, California, it would have been very easy for me to feel excluded or to feel so different that I didn't fit in. But I got to play this game where it didn't matter what class you were, it didn't matter what species you were, it didn't even matter what your experience level was. It mattered what the dice said and what story you told. You could still save the day. So I always felt included. I always knew there was a seat at the table, literally and figuratively, for me. And this game and this show now, this beautiful show that they've put together, is just a perfect amalgam of all of those things come together to invite people into this shared space and say, this is your safe space to play, to be crazy, to sit and watch and be quiet, whatever it is you need, we've got it for you at the 20 Sided Tavern.
Excellent. Excellent. So you've been playing for a long time then.
Oh yeah. Well, I not continuously.
Right.
I started with second edition when
Mhm.
I started with the basic set because my brother gave me the basic set as a gift when I was
Mhm.
8 years old. Fell in love with it, immediately bogarted his second edition books, fell in love with those, devoured them, learned everything in them. And then I played pretty much through high school. And then when I
Mhm.
went away to college, obviously the big bad of, D&D is scheduling. So actually finding people to play with. And also back then, it was not yet as mainstream. So finding people who played was a little bit trickier because you were kind of like sneaky around. We were all
Mhm.
having in our basements or in our, not in our basements, but like we were all kind of, it was a little bit less of a shared experience publicly. And so I stuck with the Forgotten Realms PC games for a while
Okay.
there. And then came a period of time which I fondly refer to as the dark days of gaming in my life, where I was like, I need to do more serious things. I'm not going to focus on gaming anymore. I don't know why I did that. It was not good for me. It was a bad choice. But I came back to it all when I was cast in a video game called Overwatch, which many of the listeners may know. And at that time was when I got to meet Matthew Mercer and Marisha Ray, because Matt was in the game, and
Mhm.
we talked a little bit about D&D and how much I missed it. And they had just started this show a few years ago called Critical Role, and how cool it was. And it was just this wonderful synchronicity that happened at a time where I was getting to come back into the gaming world from this other side, from the performance side. And I
Mhm.
did not even know that this world existed of actual play. So getting to come back to do actual play through Geek and Sundry after Marisha had connected me with them to do We're a Live Frontier and some other stuff. And then obviously working with them at Critical Role and then
Yep.
Dimension 20, all of that came about so organically and in such a beautiful way, and just reminded me how much I loved this genre of gameplay where you are the actor and the writer's room, where you are fully in control of your own destiny.
Mhm.
Even if the dice roll a particular way, you get to decide what that it is. You get to decide how the story goes. Um, and that, to me, that sense of empowerment for the players is a really important element of the joy of this game, and why I love so much that in the tavern now, audience members get to be a part of that while we're creating it on the fly.
Yeah. It is. It is. It definitely is an appeal from just the viewer's point of just watching the clips and whatnot on TikTok and YouTube. It definitely stands out. And I, I agree with you. I grew up during those dark days as well. I grew up. I've been playing for 46 years, and I grew up in the during the Satanic Panic and
Oh
whatnot.
yeah.
And yeah, and so. But when I went to college, I went to college in Wisconsin, and if you wanted to find the biggest conglomeration of gamers in the world. Just look in Wisconsin. There's a reason D&D was
Yeah.
created here. So yeah,
Well, you
I
guys have
definitely
Lake Geneva, for goodness sake. It
right,
was where I was born.
right. And ironically, I'd only been there once as a kid, and until Gary Con started happening. At which point I started going there and working because
Yeah.
that's what I do. Anyways, you talked about your starting of theater in Chicago and moving to New York. Being that this show has kind of an element of improv to it,
Mhm.
which I still fully stand behind the fact that the biggest tool in a DM's toolkit is improv. Just
100%.
because a friend of mine told me this a long time ago, no adventure survives first contact with players. They're going to screw it up. You have to be ready to adjust. Um,
It's a great way to put it.
so, how has your training, any training that you have had in the world of improv and whatnot, uh, led to your being able to do something like this?
Well, honestly, I think the two fed each other. I think because both of them are branches of the storytelling tree, right? And that's what
Mm,
all acting is, and that's what all film is. That's what all games are when it comes to video games, for the most part. Particularly, I mean, the ones that involve actors.
mm,
You're telling a story. You are a part of a story. It's just a matter of how much agency the person who is in the quote unquote audience or the player has. Television and film and theater, generally speaking, a little bit less agency for the audience, unless it's improv, which I did
mm.
do in Chicago as well. It's very, very, very vibrant improv scene in
Yep.
Chicago, obviously with Second City and Improv Olympic and all that. But honestly, I think the biggest skill that has served me over the years, both as an actor and as a player now, is the willingness to walk into something where you have no idea what you're doing. The greatest skill that I have learned over the course of time is how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And it's not only the greatest skill I've learned in life, it's the greatest skill I've learned as an actor. And I think a lot of that comes from trusting the story lives in here. The story
Mm,
lives inside me. I just have to pull it out. And the inspiration for any story usually comes from a set of circumstances outside of me that ignite a spark. So that spark can be ignited by a script, That spark can be incited by a suggestions from an audience member. That spark can be ignited by my DM saying something. It can be ignited by my players saying something. It can be ignited by the dice. It doesn't matter where that inspiration comes from. It's just that you are willing to grab onto it and run with it. I will say, doing a lot of theater that was very collaborative and ensemble oriented and nearing the beginning of my career, which is very much the vibe in Chicago. It's very much it's such a breeding ground for people who want to do collaborative theater, not necessarily want to like stand up and be the star. Like you can do that, but you're going to be the star in a production where everybody's working together on everything.
Mm.
And being a part of those productions, like shows at the Looking Glass and shows with Mary Zimmerman, who is incredible, and she was the woman who created the show that I went to Broadway with, the first Broadway show, and who became a dear friend. We did like 18 productions of together of various shows. Her shows were very much playing and adapting other pieces of literature, but they were play. They came from play. They came from a spirit of two sticks in a chair makes great theater because you can do anything with it.
Mhm.
And again, that theater of the mind is very much where TTRPGs thrive the most. Yes, now we all we have minis and we have all of the terrain and we have all of the things that we can use. We can also play a game of D&D with a sheet of paper and some dice.
Yep.
Don't need anything else, right? So that spirit of play that I was lucky enough to start my theatrical career in just continued through all of this stuff. And it really scratches an itch getting to play D&D or any other TTRPG, but getting to play them at any chance I get, because it does you know it does require that ability to jump into theater of the mind without anything around you.
Yep. For sure. For sure. All right. Well, I remember seeing in a previous interview you had talked about how in the last iteration in New York, you were able to play the trickster, and that how much how much influence in your character before the show have you had with the second run of this show?
So that's a great question. So there are a few adaptations happening now. A little bit. One thing that I'm very excited about is the renaming of the tracks. We now have Might, Magic, and Mischief. So I get to be mischief when I get to play, and I love that because that really is at the core of some of these classes that have been developed through the years over D and over the
Hmm.
course of the evolution of D&D. And so it's less about getting to determine what the characters are as who they are when they set foot on stage. Obviously, when people come to see the show, they will help us decide with their votes who we are playing on any given night. There are a group of characters that each one of us have available to them, and they get to decide. So the characters in the mischief lane obviously focused on that vibe.
Hmm.
That's where your roguelike character will live. That's where your bard like character will live. All of those things. But the joy in the creative process with those is that every single person who steps into that role or steps into that track is going to have a completely different interpretation of what that character is, and we just lean right into that. The core cast of this show are improvisers beyond compare, and they are so wonderful at putting their own stamp on something that no matter what night of the week you come see it, whether there is a guest star in it or not, you will see a completely different show. You will see a different cast. You will see a different permutation of the cast members. It's definitely a show you want to see multiple times
Hmm.
because you'll have a completely different experience. Um, and that is where we get to throw in our artistic expression, is in how we are bringing these particular character sheets to life.
Yeah. Well, just like any other time, you play Chris Estrad two different times, you're going to have two different games because you've got
Exactly.
groups
That
of
is
people.
exactly it. Plus, we have the audience making decisions for us and
Yep.
suggestions for us. And even if it is the same adventure on any given night, it is a completely different adventure every night.
All right. And speaking of adventures, because I did want to bring this up and highlight it, because we do have a lot of folks that are looking for more content to play. You did put out a module on D&D Beyond 3 months ago. I have taken a look at it, level 5, it looks like, and I'm hesitant to call it a one shot because I'm thinking it's about a three or four
Two to
session.
three, yeah, 2 to 3 shot. I think
Yeah,
is closer to it, depending on how long your gameplay sessions are.
and depending on how much your role players won't shut up, yes. And indeed, that is why I say 3 to 4 because I know
Yeah.
my
Look,
players.
I
Uh,
also love the role playing part of it
mhm,
all. Whether as a DM, which is brand new to me, I just started DMing last year with the Lego D&D one shot,
mhm,
and fell in love with doing that. And so this adventure, yeah, the adventure, the Malady of Minar is what it's called. And I have listed it as a 2 to 3 session one shot. If you have players who are particularly into the role playing, it can last as long as you want it to last.
yeah,
But I'm very excited to have it out there, specifically at this time in my journey as a new DM, but not a new player. Because what I really, again, going back to the sense of inclusion and wanting everybody to have a chance at playing and experiencing it, one of the things I really wanted to make sure was attainable with this module was that whether you were a beginning player, a beginning DM, or you've been doing it forever, one way or the other, this module would suit your needs. That there would be
mhm,
enough in there that if you've never played before, or specifically you've never DM'd before, there's enough in there for you to jump off of. There's plenty of guidelines. There's also plenty of ways there. I specifically wrote in there ways that you can drop it into your existing campaign.
yeah,
um, Made the location something that can consist in any world, made the pantheon something that can exist or be adapted to any world,
mhm,
because I want people to be able to take it and make it their own. And I also wanted it to have sort of that vibe of reminiscent of the ye olde timey games that we used to play, where there's a little more of an element of, I don't want to say horror, but there's definitely an element of otherworldly danger there. But the puzzle of it all, the mystery of it all, the sense that anything could happen is available. I'm trying to make sure that everybody can have the experience of that I had when I was 8 years old, and the experience that I had last year when I DM'd for the first time. Both of those feelings of wonder and
mhm.
excitement, and being able to really grab onto something and make it your own thing. I also deal with some, I guess you could say, deal with some social issues. I think there's fantasy fiction and sci-fi are uniquely suited to giving us a chance to explore aspects of our world and aspects of ourselves that we don't necessarily have the freedom to explore in real life. And so there are definitely issues of otherness. There are issues of faith versus, organized, forced faith. There are all sorts of things in there that you can play up as well, so that you give your characters and your players something meaty to grab onto in the role play sense as well.
Excellent, excellent. And we that's one thing that we find here in the Madison area with our organized play group is finding something that is approachable for new DMs to jump in on because
Yeah, I mean, look, if I'm
we
a
always need more.
I was a first time DM last year.
Mhm.
I was a first time writer with this adventure. And so my one of my favorite things to do is to jump in head first to something I've never done before, if for no other reason than to prove to other people that you can do the same.
Yep, exactly so, exactly so. If you're not at least a little bit uncomfortable, you're kind of doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I did also see in getting ready for this interview that you did a kind of a charity stream dealing with puppy roll,
Yes.
and we here in the Madison area we have several different charities that we donate into. The big one being Extra Life, but we also have a bird sanctuary and a dog rescue.
Amazing.
So a lot of us are very interested in the whole helping out with animals specifically. Uh, do you have any plans to do anything like puppy roll in the future?
Sure do. We haven't made an official announcement yet because we're waiting a little while, but it will be coming again. It will not be in August this year because getting everybody on the same schedule is a little bit tricky. So we will be doing it later this year, but we are absolutely doing the sequel. And I'm very, very excited about it. Working with the folks at Petco Love is so fantastic for many, many reasons. I've worked with them on a lot of things. I've been helping them with a lot of their initiatives over the years. Um, but they are such a great organization because they do very specifically look for rescues or veterinary organizations or whatever it is that are in need of help. And that's where they put their funding and that's where they put their focus. So they are spread all over the country. And we will be highlighting some shelters and some other animal rescue initiatives during the game, and definitely offering our viewers opportunities to both affect the game and to acquire really fun stuff through donating that we are setting up for this year. So yeah, the Puppy Roll 2 is definitely coming.
Excellent.
Keep your eyes out on the socials because once we announce it, hopefully it will be everywhere.
Excellent. So now with you starting the initial run of the Chicago run and being kind of a veteran of the 20 Sided Tavern, having done it previously, you have played with several people through this show. You've done multiple actual plays, playing with Bria Iyengar, Neil Newbaum, uh, Brendan
Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Mulligan, and Matt Mercer. Is there? It's hard to believe that that this might actually be a tough question for you, but is there somebody that is kind of on that bucket list of person you would either like to play with or play with them DMing for that you haven't gotten to
Oh,
do yet?
God, that's such a great question. I mean, I can't say there's like bucket list people, but there are definitely, I'd love to introduce a lot of people to this game. And there are definitely folks in yeah, in our existing community. I want to play with everyone. I just want to play with everyone because while yes, the people with the most notoriety, like Matthew, like Abria, like Brennan, folks like that, obviously I've been exceedingly spoiled that has been my introduction to the actual play scene. However, what has also proven to me is their love for the community and their encouragement of the community to do it all their own way. To be nobody should try to be the next Matthew Mercer. Nobody should try to be the next Brennan Lee Mulligan. You should be the you. You are the you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just excited to play with new and upcoming people who have their own vibes to it. It's one of the reasons, again, I love the 20 Sided Tavern so much because getting to play with these DMs, getting to have Connor Marks as my DM or Stomp as my DM, or all of those guys have completely different ways of DMing, and I get to experience that too. And now I feel like they're going to become other people's bucket list people to
Mm-hmm.
play with once they've seen the show. So yeah, that is a very difficult question to ask because I think the person that I'm dying to play with out there is just someone I've never met or someone I've never heard of. And I just love playing. So literally the only limitation I have is time.
Mm-hmm.
And not being able to clone myself and be in more places at once because that would be awesome.
Right, exactly. Gen Con is coming up this week, and I feel that pain specifically.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I have two games going on um uh uh that are coming up during Gen Con, and I wish there were like 40 more.
Yep.
But recently, recently got to play with Deborah Ann Wall and the Dungeon Dudes, and like just getting to play with everybody in this beautiful community has just been really, really
Yep.
wonderful.
And that is one of the biggest things that I tell everybody that comes in to join us in playing in our organized play community is that people talk about organized play with just organized play, and they skip the part that is community. It is
Mhm.
the biggest part of why it is as successful as it is because
Yes.
of the fact that you've got that community. I've got people that I'm closer to that than the people I went to high school with, just
Yeah,
because
sure.
I'm
Well,
playing with them all the time.
and also when it's not just the time you spend with them, but it's the quality of the time you spend with them. And we
Exactly.
are going on real adventures, and we are having these soul searching moments. I've had some of the most emotional moments of my life in an actual play game, you
Mhm.
know? even including all the acting I've done, even including Shakespeare and all of that stuff, the most truly emotional, touching moments that have resonated with me have happened during actual play,
Yeah,
whether on camera or off. And so that kind of a relationship, you don't need to spend, it's not about the amount of time you spend, it's about the quality of time you spend with people.
exactly, exactly. Well, I think that that's all the questions I've got for today. Is there anything you want to tell the people that are going to be watching about you and other projects you have going on?
Oh, please just come and have fun. And I hope that I hope that two things are achieved by any of these things that people are coming to see that I am any part of, whether it is the 20 Sided Tavern, whether it is Melody of Minara, whether it is actual plays that I do, whatever it is. I hope one, you see that it doesn't matter what level of experience you have, it doesn't matter where you came from, it doesn't matter what, if you want to do it, you can do it. It literally does not matter who you are or where you come from. There is no reason for you not to jump in. And then two, I hope it just encourages people to be silly and play. Because even in our dramatic moments, even in our moments where it feels like, oh, these are professional actors playing this game, everybody is just there with a commitment to the story and a desire to play. Those are the only two prerequisites. And if you can hang on to that in your day to day life, you can create a sense of wonder in your day to day life that makes life that much more worth living.
Excellent. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. 20 Sided Tavern is going to be starting here in the second week in August. And I have got a promotional sheet that I will be putting up on our Discord server and be linking in several other places on social media just so that you all get that information. And if you're going to be out on the 14th for the premiere of it, um, who knows? We might see you there. Thank you, Anjali, for joining us, and hopefully we'll get to experience your role playing live and in person on the 14th.
Well, we will see you on the 14th for sure.